Hello and welcome to the latest edition of FEES News, coming to you live on Facebook and YouTube. Here's this week's top stories. Last Friday, Manchester Media Group hosted the 2021 SU Elections Results Night. This covered the results of the SU Exec Officer elections, the NUS delegate elections, and the much anticipated results of the vote of no confidence referendum. 5,142 students, which equals 13% of the student population, voted in the referendum. Nancy Rothwell and her senior leadership were voted out with a vote of no confidence. 4,590 students, equaling 89% of those who voted yes to having no confidence in the university's senior leaders.
At the start of semester 2, campaigners were granted the right to a referendum from the 8th to the 11th of March, following a series of controversies surrounding the university's handling of the pandemic this academic year. This vote is the first of its kind in the university's history and asks students if they wish to declare that they no longer have confidence in the Vice-Chancellor and her senior management team. Named university leaders are Deputy Vice-Chancellor Luke Giorgio, Registrar, Secretary and CEO Patrick Hackett, Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Teaching, Learning and Students April McMahon, and Director for Student Experience Simon Merry-West. If the vote goes against Dame Rothwell, the result is non-binding, but will have to be considered by the university's Board of Governors.
During this election period, we put the following question to an all-student vote. Do you agree with the following statement? This student body has no confidence in Vice-Chancellor Nancy Rothwell and other university leaders. Students were able to answer yes to agree, no to disagree, or to abstain from the referendum. Referenda require a quorum of 400 voters. Any votes to abstain are not included in this quorum. So if the simple number of yes or no votes exceeds 400, this referendum will be valid. We then require a simple majority, and whichever option receives the most votes wins.
In this referendum, we received 5,619 votes. 477 votes were cast for abstain, meaning this referendum is valid. 555 votes were cast for no, and 4,590 votes were cast for yes. This means that with an 89% majority, we have confirmed that this student body has no confidence in Vice-Chancellor Nancy Rothwell and other university leaders.
Students from the Manchester Media Group reacted to the news.
It's been a long time coming, and I think that what remains to be seen is whether Nancy Rothwell respects the huge vote, over 80% of students who voted her out. I hope that she respects the students' views, and I hope that she resigns and is replaced by someone who actually cares about students and won't make the mistakes that she's made as she has done since September.
Yeah, I completely agree with Lucy. I think the vote speaks for itself. Students are feeling disappointed, they feel let down, and I hope that the changes are made to give students a better leadership team which we can rely on.
I think, especially among the kind of undergrad and first year population of Fallowfield, there's been very much an us versus them mentality that's developed. And I think that she's been obviously the target of a lot of it, but I think after this referendum, if she refuses to go, then that's only going to possibly worsen.
I personally think that Nancy Rothwell was a very talented individual. She's been very unlucky with the pandemic. Like, it's not her mistake that the pandemic has come in, but her management and how she has responded to the pandemic, that hasn't been the best. In the previous years, the University of Manchester ranking has gone up. In lots of people have ranked University of Manchester higher than it was previously ranked. And as an international student, that's one of the reasons I chose the University of Manchester. But again, her response to the pandemic has not been the best. And as you can see by the vote, that most of the people in the University of Manchester think that she should be replaced.
As that clip highlighted, this result was non-binding and to be considered by the Board of Governors. Following the results of the elections, the University of Manchester's Board of Governors issued a statement saying that it had full confidence in the senior leadership team and in particular in Nancy Rothwell. The statement reads, "We have seen the result of the student referendum and note that the turnout was 13% of our student population. The board has been briefed fully throughout the pandemic, holding additional meetings as and when required. Having been vigorous in holding the senior leadership to account, the unanimous position of the board is that we have full confidence in them to lead the university forward, and in particular in Nancy Rothwell. who has led the university with vision, compassion, and distinction for the past 10 years. The statement continued, whilst our senior leaders have not got everything right, where that has been the case, they have led from the front by apologising and have always taken action to ensure lessons are learnt and improvements are made. The university remains focused on delivering the best learning experience possible and supporting the well-being of our students, staff, and wider local community. Students are at the heart of our university. Following this, on Wednesday afternoon, the Nancy Out campaign staged a sit-in at the university to protest what they call the lack of action from the university following the results of the no confidence referendum. The Nancy Out campaigners held their sit-in on Oxford Road wearing paper masks of the faces of senior leadership. A member of the Nancy Out campaign spoke to the Mancunian. They said, "Today, we staged a socially distanced sit-in underneath the Whitworth Arch to protest the university's lack of action since a referendum overwhelmingly proved that the student body has no confidence in Nancy Rothwell or her senior management team." Now here's Chloe with the latest on the Sarah Everard vigil and the students who have been campaigning against violence towards women.
After a missing person inquiry was launched on the 4th of March, the body of 33-year-old Sarah Everard was found at Hodeswood near Ashford last Wednesday the 10th. Reports say she was leaving a friend's house near Clapham Common when she was kidnapped and later murdered by Met police officer Wayne Cousins. Since this devastating news broke last week, women across the country and beyond have been sharing their experiences of sexual harassment and day-to-day fears over their safety. This, quite rightly, has sparked a huge conversation about how the media presents stories of violence towards women and girls, often centering it as a matter of protecting women rather than tackling the root causes of these heinous events. The issue has been further compounded by the heavy policing of the vigil for Miss Everard at Clapham Common last Saturday, where peaceful protesters were pinned to the ground and faced with police brutality. Fuse News has reached out to some students in the community who have been campaigning against violence towards women. Here's Harriet Russ, founder of the Be Heard campaign, talking about the petition she is circulating, which aims to abolish the time limits to bring charges for offences of acts of domestic violence. We'll circulate these links on our socials later today. Here's Harriet.
Hi, my name is Harriet Russ and I am the founder of the Be Heard campaign. I founded Be Heard after my own experience with domestic abuse to raise money and awareness around the topic. Since its launch in January of this year, we have raised over £250 for Women's Aid and worked with victims too to petition to end the 6-month time limit on reporting abuse. Abolishing this time limit will allow victims to process their trauma before reporting it to police. So far, we've received over 30,000 signatures, but we need 100,000 for Parliament to debate it. The reaction to Sarah Everard's tragic murder has been staggering. It has united people in a national struggle for women's rights, but it has highlighted that much more needs to be done. My hope is that this petition and social conversation will bring about the change needed so that no other woman will die in vain.
I also spoke to Salford University graduate Megan McGranahan about the Change.org petition she started to legalise the possession of pepper spray as a non-lethal protective mechanism. She told me that the Sarah Everard disappearance and subsequent murder was what prompted her to start the petition, as well as seeing the hashtag #NotAllMen on Twitter. Currently, pepper spray is classed as a firearm and banned under Section 5(1)(b) of the Firearms Act 1968. Possession and use by common citizens can result in a prison sentence and criminal record. Megan expressed that anyone asking what's to stop men using it against women, men are already using weapons to assault women. Legalising doesn't mean free access to all, as they might bring in licensing to control who uses it. When asked about her suggestions for what people can do to support the movement, Megan told me, "There is no solution that will reverse years of sexism overnight, because this is a societal problem worldwide. However, measures such as pepper spray are only a preventative measure to keep people safe until the root of the problem is addressed. We need men to take a step back and listen to what women have to say in regards to safety. Whilst we're aware it's not every man, it's enough men for us to have to treat every man we pass as a potential attacker." Megan would also like Fuse News to boost the Parliament version of this petition, which is more likely to go somewhere. Please find these on our socials at FuseNews_UOM for Instagram or on the Fuse TV Manchester Facebook page. Many students have also been outraged by the lack of response by UOM to the Sarah Everard murder and surrounding movement. Here's Erica Chesworth talking about the email template she constructed as a letter of complaint to the university.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm a second year student studying sociology and criminology at the University of Manchester. I was personally affected by the murder of Sarah Everard at the hands of the police officer, as well as the online discourse surrounding sexual assault and violence against women that followed the murder over the last week. It's been really exhausting, and hearing all these stories combined with my own experience of constantly being exposed to discussions surrounding women's rights, sexual assault, rape, violence, etc., led me to question why the university had not offered any support. So I saw that they had emailed a students' newsletter about tips for staying safe around campus and at night, but I felt like they needed to address the actual murder and the additional impact that it has had on women. So I felt like no university staff had acknowledged the murder and the impact that it had on our ability to do work as well, which is something that significantly affected me. I wrote an email to the uni basically complaining about the fact that they had not acknowledged the murder and all of the potential impacts that it could have on students. I mean, in Fallowfield especially, it doesn't feel like a safe place to live for so many people. So I have actually got a response since then, offering support, which obviously is great that support is being offered to me, but my main issue was that no senior members of staff acknowledged it, and that I shouldn't be having to ask for support on such a high profile case that has impacted students. I feel like that support should be given to us without us having to seek it.
Thanks for that, Chloe, and those brilliant people who spoke to you. Now, in other news, a controversial new bill that would increase police power has been passed in the UK, despite objections that it will jeopardise freedom of speech. The Police, Crime, Sentencing and Courts Bill, which was voted through Parliament yesterday, introduces several changes to the rules affecting public protests, including the allocation of stronger authority to law enforcement. The legislation was spearheaded by Home Secretary Priti Patel, who has repeatedly argued that it will help protect vulnerable people in society. The bill has been widely criticised in light of the recent vigil for Sarah Everard, which saw tens of Metropolitan Police officers storm a peaceful demonstration at Clapham Common in London last Saturday. Police will now have far more control over protest conditions, including their start and finish time, as well as their noise levels. They will be able to prosecute activists if they cause serious annoyance, a vague and subjective offence that is yet to be properly defined. Police would even be allowed to apply these strident measures to an individual demonstration, such as a single person holding a placard. If they fail to follow police orders, they could be fined up to £2,500. The defacement of statues will also now carry a lofty penalty, with those accused facing up to 10 years behind bars. The bill has been criticised under the grounds that it says a lot of things about statues and almost nothing about protecting women and girls, and particularly dealing with violence against women and girls. Now here's Sharad with the latest update on coronavirus.
27 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been given in the UK, making the rate of vaccine distribution in the UK one of the highest in the world. Since Wednesday, all people aged 50 and over can now receive a COVID-19 vaccine. The over 50 age group is the final part of phase 1 under the government's vaccination program, which is expected to end in April. Phase 2 will see those between the ages of 18 and 49 get vaccinated by July 31st. Despite this, recent news has shown that 24 countries and territories have temporarily suspended vaccinations using the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine after at least 40 people developed blood clots. The EU's medicines regulator has said that there is no indication that the vaccine leads to an increased risk of blood clots. 17 million people in Europe have currently received the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. Following this, there have been growing calls of gender bias as female contraceptives on the market have a higher chance of resulting in blood clots, with 1 in 600 people taking the combination hormonal birth control expecting to suffer blood clots as opposed to the 1 in 459,000 of those taking the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. This concern has not been expressed by medical agencies across Europe. If you have any opinions on the blood clot debate, do let us know in the comments section below. The EU and the UK are locked in a diplomatic spat over COVID-19 vaccines. The EU has accused the UK of withholding vaccine shipments, an allegation the UK government strongly denies. This comes after a slow vaccine rollout in some EU member states. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has threatened retaliatory measures, including delay vaccine shipments to the UK. Should this happen, it will come as a major blow to the UK vaccination program, as there has already been a delay in the delivery of vaccines from India that could slow down the vaccine rollout for weeks.
Thanks for that, Sharad. And as Sharad said there, if you do have any opinions or you'd like to speak to us about anything that was mentioned in that story, please do get in contact. That is all from us this week at Fuse News at the University of Manchester. Please don't forget to tune in next week at Friday at 11:45. Goodbye.